Hey guys, so happy Sunday. Welcome back to another deep dive. And for this video, we're going to talk about Dito's stock performance over the past year. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it follow what everyone is also talking about as well? So, just to give you structure on what I want to discuss for today's podcast is I want to segment it on its monthly performance from January 2020 to the end of December 2020 to where we are right now, then a bit of analysis on the numbers, then I'm going to give you some of the lessons learned that you can glean on that I do hope it also helps you as you start analyzing the markets. But just a quick reminder, if you're new to this, please do know that even though we're discussing Dito, this is not me telling you to buy the stock. This is not me telling you to sell the stock. This is not me telling you also to avoid or hold it. Never ever buy a stock just because we talk about it here in YouTube. It ultimately it's your money, it's your responsibility. This is just information. This is just me sharing data that I do hope after this it helps you analyze and study even more. That the whole goal and narrative in all of this is for you to do your own research, is for you to be able to study on your own and to make your decision based on the data that you have, based on the time and research that you have allotted into this. But never ever transact in the stock market just because you hear it off the internet or you hear it off your friend. So the way that I wanted to do it, it got inspired. No, as you all know, I've been talking about investing in US markets and I've been talking about eToro. And as I have been doing that, I've also been talking about popular investors. And I like the way how they did it, that it was on a month on month basis, that it's showing you the performance in terms of percentage from how this investor made in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, all the way to December. So that's how I want to segment this. But instead of popular investors like Jay Nemesis, Eloise Grief, and Yoni Asia, I want to share it in a way that substitute the popular investor into a stock. And in this way, we're going to look at its month to month performance of Dito, and we're going to drill down on certain things and aspects that you can get from all of this. So, for those who have not, or I'm sure you guys have seen its price action, but I just want to show you this. This is Dito from the lens of January 2020 all the way to the end of December 2020 to where we are right now. So if you notice it also, if you just held on from the start of the year, you would have hit the massive lows when the lockdown started, but you would have ridden this large push, this large correction, the consolidation, and then the massive push at the end of the year. So for those who started the year January 2020 deploying capital into it, please do also note that Dito was formerly ISM, that as it started to change its name, also at the middle of the year, Dito CME, it received also a lot of attention. But anyways, it also goes to show how certain aspects that if you follow either technicals, fundamentals, price, conviction, or whatever, it goes to the fact that price discounts everything. But let's show certain aspects. So here's its monthly performance. So January 2020, Dito, or at that time ISM, was 3.52 pesos per share. Then it ended the month at 3.36 pesos per share. It dropped from the start of the month to the end of the month by 4.55%. So for people who want to derive this on their own, what I got was the opening price at the start of the month and the closing price at the start of the month. So this showed you that for January 2020, Dito lost money, dropped by 4.55%. And I just want to reiterate now, if you're a type of trader or investor, it's very, very important that there will be months like this, there will be days like this, there will be days that you bought a stock at a relatively higher price only to see it start to go down. And in this way, for the month of January, it actually was down and it actually was lower. Next is February 2020. And this is, if you just to add context and flavor to this was at the point where we saw the lockdown started to, we haven't locked down yet, but we've seen the virus, COVID, start to spread globally. So February 2020, it's at 3.21. Then it ended at 1.63. Total movement for the stock for Feb 2020 was down. It was down 49.22%. So from here, a loss of 4.55 to something that was massive, brought about by a lot of uncertainty. Please remember that wherever there's uncertainty, It's not just one stock or massive blue chip stocks or large market cap stocks that get affected. Everyone gets hit. Everyone gets somehow when people sell on a massive level, all of the stocks in the market would get hit. And that's what we saw for Dito for February 2020, down 49.22%. Next, March. Now, unbeknownst to many, here's what's so interesting about this. March was the start of the lockdown. March was when the PSE was closed for 2 days. March was when uh, the virus started to become a big deal in the country. But Tito closed up from 1.6. It closed the month at 1.7, gain of 6.25%. April, still at the height of the lockdowns, started the month at 1.75, closed at 2.2, but it was up 25.71. And this is what I want to note now. At this time, it was the height of maximum fear. It was a time when a lot of people were scared. It was a time when people didn't know what was happening. But if you played your cards right, if you analyze it properly, Dito for the month of April 2020, when everyone was so scared, was up by 25.71%. Next, May 2020, Dito 2.12, ended the month 2.25, gain 6.13. Not as spectacular as this, but better off than the previous drops that we saw at the first 2 months of 2020. Next, this is where it got interesting. If I remembered properly, this was when ISM changed its name to Dito. And also from a charting perspective, if I remembered correctly, was where we also saw Dito reverse from a downtrend into where it is right now, reversing into an uptrend. So it started the month at 2.27. It ended at 3.7. It went up by 62.99%. And adding some flavor to this, during this time, this was where also, at least at the start of June, Metro Manila, the largest economy in the Philippines, was announced that it was already moving into GCQ, and it was relatively important because it allowed the movement or transportation of the flow of transportation to be better and with less restrictions, which was very very important also for the movement of people, and it was very very important also for, of course, the construction of their cell site. So from a sentiment standpoint, it added a layer of context that, hey, lesser lockdown, lesser stringent measures will allow easier flow of people, easier flow of people. It would be easier also for them to be able to build their cell sites. And please do note that this time also, it was already expected that they would have missed their technical audit, and that's why the technical audit was moved to January 2021. Anyways, let's continue. Comment below if you're still here. Now, we are currently at the 7-minute mark. I want to know if you want some levels of analysis like this, where I'd go through certain aspects and explain price movements and then the news attached to that as well. So July 2020. Now here's what's interesting. We saw the start of July, Dito hit 3.76, only to see it drop 2.68 pesos per share. And what's interesting about that is this. Please do note that the month prior to that, it was up 62.99%. Please remember that Dito is fueled by the expectation of what it could be in the future. So it's pretty much expectation and it's pretty much price action. And there will be people that bought earlier that would also want to take profits. Given that you saw Dito go up 62.99% for June, there are people for sure that, please remember, second quarter 2020, there was still a lot of uncertainty still in the market and in the economy. And if you could pocket 62.99% in a month, it would be relatively good. And that's why July saw a negative month for Dito, closed at 2.68. It was a 28.72% loss for Dito. Next, August 2020, this is where it became again interesting. Large gain, June, large drop, July, then boom, rebound, 28.85%. Decent gain for August. 2.6 ended up at 3.35. Next, September, 3.37, closed at 4.9. It's up again by 45.40%. Now this is where it started to push much higher. So look at the progression. No? June 62.99, correction 28.72, push up 28.85, September 45.40, then October 39.18. So this August, September, October, even if you missed out on June, you, and then you came in look at this. June 2.27 ended at 3.7. Even if you bought at the high at 3.7, you held your ground 3.35, 4.9. October, you would have had doubled it also. So there's a degree of conviction when it comes to trading and investing. No? So either you cut your losses and then you came back in once you started to see it go up, or you just held onto your position completely, basing it on whatever drivers that you have on why you bought the stock. So for Dito, August 28.85, September 30, 45.40, October 39.18. Now let's continue. For November, started the month 6.82, closed it at 6.35, saw Dito down 6.89%. So it was a bit of profit taking, not much, but it relatively gave people the ability to, and for those who bought at a lower price, it gave them the shot and the chance to also take profits. And at this point in time, the way you could actually read this is no one was willing to buy it higher than at least this area, 6.35 pesos per share. Next, this is where it got interesting at the end of the year. December 2020, started the year at 6.4, started the month at 6.4, then closed at 10.9. Gain is 70.31%. And I think that's so interesting because people would always ask, huli na ba lahat? Kailangan ko ba siyang habulin? And it's so important that it's not about you chasing the stock, but it's about following your trading rules for it. Because if you follow your trading rules, it won't be perfect. You will have mistakes. You will have need to cut loss, or there will be days that you will be holding on to a losing position. But it's you sticking to your rules. And if you look at it here, last month of the year, Dito went up 70.31%. And context also, during this point in time, we saw we saw ASEN also start to push up as well. Then lastly, January 2021, start 11.4, current is January 15, 2021, 12.08. It's up by 5.95%. Now, what are the numbers telling us? Roughly, for those who were with me at the start of this video, we saw it now from January 2020 to where we are right now. It was up roughly around 373%, including the rough ride down, then the start of it pushing up on a month-on-month basis from July, then September, October, November, then the large push in December. Now, looking at it also now from a month-to-month basis, it wasn't up every month. It was, if you could put it on a fraction perspective, it was only up two-thirds of the year. 8 months of the 12 months for 2020 it was up. Out of the 12 months also, it was down 4 months off of the year. But if you notice it also, no, the winning months outweighed its losing months. And if there's one thing that I want you to glean on the markets that I'll never stop telling you, is that let your winners outweigh your losers. Your ability to hold on to winning positions is more important than you filtering out where is the peak and where is the bottom. It's always about when you're right, you maximize it to the fullest extent. Because I'll say this over and over, one of my biggest mistakes, or at least my common mistakes when I'm investing, is basically I sell too quick. Yung dapat hindi ko pa dapat ibibenta, my emotions tend to get the best of me, and I get to sell early. And as I get to sell too early, I don't get to maximize the particular upside that I actually want. Anyways, so some lessons learned that I want to impart to all of you that you can also apply not just for Dito, but for other stocks out there is: number one, timing is everything. That if you time it right, time it properly, as you can see, there's certain months where it dropped down and there's certain months that it pushed up. If you are trading, it's so important. Timing is everything. I'll say this over and over in the market because there's volatility. If you find out where the support is, you find out where the reversal is, you know how to use those indicators properly, then you would have strategic areas also where you could possibly get a better gain if you know how to time it right, if you know how to use valuations. But also, the more active you are, I'll just say this also to balance everything out, the bigger the possibility that you will have more false signals, and the bigger the possibility that you will have more transactions, and the bigger the possibility that you will have more cut losses. But if you do it right, one or two or three good trades that are maximized properly can erase all of those bad trades that you cut loss at a smaller amount. Number two, if you're an investor, hold on for dear life, because that point, no, March 2020, April 2020, May 2020, June 2020, up until now din naman, dito is still not operating. So it will always go back to what your belief system is on why you are buying it at whatever price it is. That's why when I tell people never ever buy a stock just because it's talked about here, because you holding on to it should be based on what you know about the stock. It shouldn't be based on what other people tell you. It shouldn't be based on what you hear off of what other people are saying. It should be based off your knowledge. Because if it's based off of your knowledge, if you make a mistake, you have no one to blame but yourself. But if you do it correctly also, then it will be a stepping stone on how you can make other investments, other trades in the future. But that doesn't mean that you're looking for a jackpot. Eh. If you're looking for a jackpot, then you're just looking out for a one-off trade. What you're looking for here is the conviction that, hey, ito yung ginawa ko dito sa dito. What lessons can I get here for future trades in the future or for future trades that I will do to help me position better and to give me the conviction that when everyone's scared, you can still hold on even for dear life. Number three, this is the opposite of number one. If you're a trader, timing is everything. But if you're an investor, time is everything. Meaning, if you look at what I showed you, the chart of Dito dropped massively. But if you spend a longer degree of time, you would have still been up. And that goes not just for Dito, mm, that goes for a lot of stocks that are fundamentally sound. From Apple to uh, Microsoft to McDonald's to Starbucks to Nike, there will always be drops, there will always be corrections, there will always be massive push downs. But if you're an investor and you know the fundamentals very, very well, time is your greatest weapon. It will compensate also for your mistakes when you try to time it. But if you're a trader, timing is everything. If you are an investor, time is everything. Number four, conviction is the most important thing, and this goes for traders and for investors. What do I mean about that? That if you are a trader, you have to be fully convinced of your buy and what signals you're using. If you're an investor, you also have to be fully convinced that when everyone is telling you not to buy it, but because pinag-aralan mo, you ignore the noise, you ignore the crowd, and you stick to what you're doing. Number five, it always won't be up. And don't be discouraged pag may binili kayong stocks biglang bumagsak because you won't always get it right. And it's normal for stocks to go down. It's normal for stocks to correct. It's normal for it to take profits. That also, if there's bad news, if there's something that's not favorable to the market, or if there's something more compelling, or if foreigners are selling, or if people are going out of our markets, you would really see prices go down. It will always go when more people are selling, regardless of what those reasons are, stock prices will fall. Number six is this. I'm sharing this because December it went up 70+%. October it moved up. September it moved up. July it moved up. Or June it moved up. At the certain point at the second half of the year it moved up. Especially December it moved massively up. So people have this notion that kailangan ko nang bilhin ngayon or kailangan ko bilhin na maaga or kailangan ko bilhin sa bottom because that's when I start getting the gain. But if you follow the narrative, even for Bitcoin, if you only bought Bitcoin 2020, 2019, 2018, if even if you did not buy in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, it's okay. You don't always have to buy at the earliest. If you're an investor, you buy because you believe there's an upside. It doesn't mean that you're buying it at the start. Or if you're a trader, you're buying it because it's bouncing off support, it's breaking out off of a resistance, or it's reversing into an uptrend. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you are buying it at the earliest point to buy. Number seven, a stock would go up based on future expectations. Similar to what I've been saying earlier, Dito, it's going to operate March 2021. It hasn't really operated, it doesn't have any sales, but people are buying it based on what it could possibly be, and that's placing a demand on it, and people are buying it. And that's how it is in the market, supply and demand. As more people are buying it, regardless of what the reasons are, it could be hope, it could be an expectation of it operating, it could be an expectation that it will be the third telco and it can threaten Globe or PLDT. When people start buying it, more buyers bring the prices up. And that's how it is because people are asking, why is it going up? It's not even operating yet. You have to always remember it's always the market that determines what the price is. If people are willing to buy it from someone at a higher price, then you see the prices start to go up. Now, what's very, very important to see is once they start operating, are they earning based on what people are expecting? Because if they're earning better than expected, then there might be some stability to the price. There might be some pushes upward. Or if they disappoint, also, there could be some corrections also to the downside. So there, I hope you guys got a lot from this. If you guys have questions, feel free to put it in the comment section. If you guys have questions also and you want to DM me two ways, Instagram, I try to reply to 20 messages a day, and Patreon, very, very small community, so I could reply to everyone that's there. Then, for those who want to learn more about me, my books that I've written, national bookstore best-selling books, and the courses that we have, everything about me is in the description below. So I hope you guys got a lot from this. I hope that this was something that was insightful for all of you. And this is something different from our normal technical analysis. But since it's a weekend, I had some time to be able to at least drill down some of the numbers. But I really do hope that it adds another flavor of analysis and data for all of you as we continue to navigate and weave through the markets. So I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that you learned from this, and I hope that you are using your weekend to build your skills and to get better so that you can trade well, trade strong, trade smart. Marvin Germo. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.